What's up, guys? This is Kyryu back to you creating some more Let's Plays. I'm probably going to upload one or two more times on the Kyryu and Boba campaign just because I've got a few more of those recordings saved up, but honestly me and him have kind of stopped playing that campaign. We've gone on to other things, and honestly I feel like we had talked a lot about the things that I had wanted to talk about anyway, so we're going to let that go for now. If you really want me to keep going with it, leave a comment, tell me so, but I kind of get the vibe that those campaigns are done for now. In the meantime, I kind of want to move on to Rome Total War. I want to move on to Rome Total War because I am thinking that it would be really fun to do a sort of ancient civilizations how-to from the perspective of a historian. So I talk a lot about how you create a thriving civilization, but I'm always doing it within the context of a period of history that actually went down, and so I'm usually trying to role play to a certain extent. Well, this time I'm going to be playing as a faction that didn't actually grow into a giant civilization and end up thriving. I'm going to be playing as the Iceni. Now, the Iceni are historically famous for staging a very large uprising against the Romans during the Roman occupation of Britain. That is pretty much all they're really known for, other than they were a Celtic tribe in the British Isles. They eventually submitted to Roman rule and then revolted. I'll talk a lot more probably as I play this about the exact circumstances of that rebellion. But they never really actually took over all the British Isles or expanded beyond the shores of Britain. And so I'm going to be using this as kind of a blank slate sort of context from which to talk about how ancient civilizations would have kind of started from being disparate, spread out, not very powerful, and grow into a more unified, spread out civilization that has, great works of art and monuments that it leaves behind, and, perhaps even writing. I know that the Iceni and other Celts did not really practice writing very much because all we know about them is from what the Romans and others wrote about them. They did, however, have very advanced artwork and technology. In fact, it's believed that chainmail, or mail as it was historically known, came from the Celts. Now that's a very big, sort of spread out word, Celts, because Celts were all over Western Europe. They were in the Iberian Peninsula, where modern-day Spain is. They were in modern-day France, which was then known as Gaul. They were in the British Isles. They were spread out across Eastern Europe as well. There were even Celts who lived in modern-day Turkey, known as the Galatians. So Celts were spread all out. But they did achieve a lot of amazing technological and artistic works that are often kind of forgotten, and they're kind of painted in the broad stroke that they were barbarians. So over the course of this, I'm going to show you guys what perhaps a Celtic civilization would have looked like had they, rather than the Romans, succeeded in dominating the British Isles. And I'm hoping eventually to dominate perhaps the North Sea area, northern Germania, and maybe even Gaul as well. Depends on who I end up going to war with, but we'll see. We're going to be going on the very hard difficulty, though I'm going to tell you right now I'm going to turn the battle difficulty down back to normal. The only reason I'm doing that is that I don't mind facing stack after stack of enemy armies. I don't mind the enemy armies being powerful. What I mind is the buffs that the very hard difficulty gives to the enemy troops, because they kind of mess up the rock, paper, scissors nature of the combat in this game, because you'll end up with something like a levy spear infantry, a really, poorly equipped, poorly trained unit, but because it's got all the buffs from, it's an enemy unit and it's got all the buffs from the very hard difficulty, it'll just be insanely powerful and absolutely wreck me. So I'm not going to be doing that. I'm going to instead go for normal difficulty, because then I can actually show you like the differences that good training, good armor, different weapon combinations can make, rather than just having to like absolutely grind my way through insanely tough guys, no matter how pathetically armed and equipped they actually are. As far as the buffs that this faction, the Iceni, get, Warrior Society +1 public order for every war against a neighboring faction, so they enjoy conflict and strife, and so if I am at war with lots of people, my people will be happy and will not have civil unrest as much, I guess. Fierce Independence plus 10% melee defense for all units during battles in own or allied territory. So I'm very fiercely independent. I don't want anybody conquering me, and so my men fight a little bit harder when they're protecting their own land, I guess. Cultural aspirations, moderate diplomatic bonus with all non-barbarian factions. This is actually probably a good thing, because I know that actually before Rome invaded Britain, there was actually quite a lot of trade between Rome and Britain. There were all sorts of goods traded, various cloths, some food goods, pottery, bronze work. The Celts were known as being very good metal workers. That sort of thing was traded between Rome and Britain, and so I like this, that we've got a diplomatic bonus with non-barbarian factions, because potentially that could mean that I become friends with Rome and I end up trading with them, and we end up working together for at least a while, assuming they never try and conquer me. Children of Andraste, plus 10% charge bonus for all units when attacking. I like that. Andraste was a god in the Celtic pantheon, and you know, I like when they throw in tidbits from the actual religions that existed at the time. Yearning for Home, minus 5% morale penalty when fighting in enemy or neutral territory. So that's going to be a bit of a bummer, but every faction has a debuff of some sort. So my men, I guess, get homesick when they're far away from their lovely British Isles, and so when I fight in territory, you know, this is probably going to be more of a problem when I start trying to expand to the mainland. When I fight in other territory, my men will have a little bit less morale and be more likely to break and flee. If you guys want to read this, I've read it many times, but I will go ahead and slowly scroll down so you can go ahead and pause and take a read through. The CA, Creative Assembly, does a pretty darn good job with their history, so you know, this is always useful. I'm going to go ahead and start campaign. Yeah, a lot of what we know about Celtic cultures comes from a Roman historian named Tacitus, and Tacitus is of dubious believability just because a lot of what he writes about he never saw or never personally experienced. He's listening to the tales of legionnaires and traders and travelers, and also he pretty blatantly makes a few things up. So we got to take whatever he says about the Celts with a grain of salt, especially the Britons. He liked to talk about how all the various barbarian factions were just all about human sacrifice and, you know, orgies and just, you know, all sorts of disreputable, horrible things that the Romans would certainly never do, of course. And that's just an othering technique that imperialists often use to talk about those that they conquer or oppress. So we got to take whatever Tacitus says with a grain of salt. What we do know about the Celts, a lot of it comes from archaeology. We know that they were excellent metal workers. We know that they were good at farming. They did farm. Tacitus likes to talk about how, oh, they were always hunting all the time. Yes, they hunted, obviously. Most people hunted. But they also did farm. They were quite good at making earthwork constructions. Their longhouses and their various things like that were actually quite good. Let's watch this.
You are my son, but I've done all I can to protect you.
The gods smile on you, Octavian. You're a good soldier.
I'm a politician.
We don't need more politicians. It's not more speeches in the Senate that will change the world. Rome is dying.
Why do you think Caesar favored you so?
I was loyal.
No, Octavian. He saw in you the potential to continue his legacy. Not to follow him, but to exceed him.
Antony cannot be trusted. His heart lies in Egypt. We must confront the reality that civil war is inevitable.
And how will bloodshed save the people of Rome?
You are not meant to save them. You are meant to lead them.
All men are troubled when their moment has come.
I am not Caesar. I don't have his strength.
The people loved him, and they will love you.
You can't think like an ordinary man. You must reach beyond mortal ambition and do what has never been done.
To survive, my son, Rome must have a master.
Alright, so coming off of that interesting cutscene, I guess I'll talk about the time period that we're going to be fighting in right now. This is the
You are the best hope for your
probably the biggest civil war that Rome ever faced. Obviously, there were other civil wars that involved potentially more troops, but this was probably the one that really set the course for Rome's future as it transitioned from republic to empire. Octavian, Lepidus, Pompey, and Antony are 4 Roman generals and politicians who have kind of balanced power between each other in controlling the growing republic since the fall of Caesar, since Caesar was murdered by Brutus and the other senators. He and the others, Octavian and the others, are about to fight a massive civil war against each other to really decide who gets to be emperor, because at this point it's pretty clear that the Senate doesn't really have the power of Rome anymore. It's whoever is the supreme military leader of Rome that controls the society. So I am a tiny little, pretty insignificant barbarian faction on a remote island that has aspirations of glory and potentially resisting the spreading forces of Rome. Luckily for me, they're likely to be fighting each other for quite a while, which means that I'm going to be able to consolidate my own power. But yeah, it's going to be interesting. We'll see what happens. I'm not playing with any mods on this campaign. I've played an Iceni campaign with mods, and the units that you can get from mods are pretty darn cool. I'm a big fan of the Radius Total War mod, but I figured I would just show you the vanilla campaign, just that I don't have completely overpowered units by the end of the campaign, because they do get pretty good, like having pikemen and just insanely heavy infantry that are fairly cheap for the upkeep and things like that. I don't want to be too overpowered. So as far as technology goes, I'm basically playing this, I'm going to be role-playing this as we are a starting civilization. We kind of got to build our way up from almost nothingness into a thriving, maybe not empire. I don't necessarily want to just conquer everybody and have them under my heel, but a thriving civilization nonetheless. In order to do that, I'm going to have to research more military technologies, get things like bronze forges and bronze furnaces. In order to have more powerful troops, I'm going to need good agricultural surpluses, because nothing drives civilization quite like a food surplus. I'm going to need to improve my knowledge of various philosophies and intellectual technologies, so that I've got good control of the populace. I've got a good, strong dogma that the society follows and can be run within. I'm also going to need to maintain allies, because no one can really run it alone. You can't rule everything all the time, and so having other people who you can trust is always important. As far as diplomacy goes, right now I'm starting off with an alliance, a defensive alliance with Demonii, and I'm cool with the Demeter. I'm trading with them, and they're culturally similar enough to me that we could eventually assimilate, but they're not allied to me yet. And I'm at war with these guys, the Coriel Tauvi. Again, I'm probably going to mess these names up as I pronounce them. I don't have the exact phonetic pronunciation right before me. All I have is what they say there, so I'll do my best. I'm going to go ahead and try and get a trade agreement with these guys, because they are sitting right next to me, and it would be helpful. They don't want it yet, but I'll offer them a little money, perhaps, because if I can keep them... I'm not going to offer more than 1,000. I'll try again next turn. As far as buildings go, I have a sacred enclosure. That's the first thing that I can upgrade. I could try and get rid of these things and do something else, but for right now that's fine. If I upgrade my temples, it will use up some of my current food surplus. And that makes sense in a sense, because as you have more of a specialization of societal roles, that means that there's more people who are devoted to protecting and serving the priestly class and the people who work and live at the temple than would otherwise be, making food, being farmers. It eats up some of the extra food that is allowed by doing agriculture rather than being a forager. So it'll cost me a little food, but I've got 3 right now, and it's only going to cost me 1 more, so I can go ahead and do it. I think I'm going to go with... I don't really need to improve my cultural influence from from Celtic cultural influence at all because it's so good already. And wealth from all sources, I think that's a good starting one. It'll improve my cultural influence a lot, which I don't really need, but it will also give me a lot of public order, which I know I'm going to need because I'm about to conquer this town, which is within the same province, and that will cause some instability. You know, refugees fleeing the town, the people who do stay not liking the fact that I just conquered them, that sort of thing, destabilizes the region and causes potential unrest. Guess I'm just going to wait. Which of these guys is part of my royal faction? The Elder Chiefs is my faction. Both of these guys are mine. I'm going to go ahead and secure a promotion for them just because I want them to have a bit more gravitas and be considered more important by the decision-making body of our society. In all factions of Rome Total War, you've got basically a balance of power that you need to keep. I don't think I really want to go above 80% because the remaining 20% who would then be so incredibly disinherited of their power that they would feel threatened would potentially cause a civil war. On the same token, I don't want to go below a certain amount because then they'll feel so powerful that they think they can just wipe me out, and that'll also cause a civil war. In a civil war, any generals or admirals that you have that are from the other faction, notice I'm the Elder Chiefs, they are the other chiefs, anybody who is from that faction who controls an army, that army would become my enemy immediately. Towns will also switch over. So I want to avoid that for as long as possible, so I want to kind of keep it balanced. I want to be powerful. I want to be getting these bonuses that I get right here. Research rate, public order, tax rate, morale. But I don't want to get so powerful that they feel threatened and strike out against me militarily. You know, turn my own armies against me. So both of these guys are good to use. I'm going to just use both of them then. So I'm going to attack with the main army and have him reinforce. It's not giving us very good odds, but I disagree with that. I think we can easily win, especially since I've got two Oathsworn, who are incredibly tough units. So let's do this. So the reason that I feel like, you know, starting civilization, I need to take some more territory is I have a city, and cities are wonderful. Cities produce artwork and trade goods and metalworking and, you know, give you a lot of wealth and allow you to really tap into the collective resources of the other humans around you. But at the same time, cities don't really produce food. They're not for that. You don't want, you know, intensive agriculture in your city because guess what? The animals will poop. You know, it'll cause squalor within your town, and that can cause disease. So usually you want your agriculture, your main agricultural production being somewhere else, a town outside of the city, or far enough away that it's not, you know, also where there's incredibly dense human settlement. So I'm going to try and take this town and turn it into a food production center so that I can then further upgrade my city. The more food I have, the fewer people, or the more people that can be engaged in other activities like creating art, writing plays, or in the case of the Celts, learning the various epic poems of their tribe. Making weapons and armor, making ships and trade goods. The more food you've got, the less people you need to be devoted towards towards creating more food, and the more people you can have devoted towards other wealth and power gaining things. Which is really what, you know, building up civilizations is always about. It's been concentrating wealth and power and getting the overall economic pie, if you will, to be bigger. So it's raining right now. I don't want to fight in the rain. We both have good skirmishers, but I just don't feel like dealing with it. It's not as pretty. Let's just do dry. I've got reinforcements coming in. I don't want them to be able to easily bottleneck me, so I want to probably come in at least 2 fronts. My reinforcements are coming from that direction. So I'm going to go... This entrance right here is going to be where my main force is going to come from. Whoop. Don't know why that happened, sorry. Put my slingers up here. Again, I have Levy Freemen. They're pretty crummy infantry. Ooh, I almost forgot to change the battle difficulty. Game settings. I can't do that. Alright, well, bummer. I'm going to be fighting this first battle on high battle difficulty. You'll be able to see what I mean when I say that the enemy computer gets very strong buffs. But that means that I'm just going to have to exploit my skirmishers as much as possible before I get in melee. Reinforcements are coming from over there. Let's go ahead and start this battle. So for those of you who don't know what a slinger is, you know, everybody knows what a bow and arrow is. Pretty much everybody knows, like, sometimes you throw spears, that's what a javelin is. A slinger is somebody who has a sling, and a sling is basically a little bit of leather tied onto 2 strings that you put a stone in, whirl it around your head, and then throw the stone. And it's basically working off of the physics principle that the longer the lever, the more force you can exert, and it essentially lengthens your arm that is throwing the stone. And that allows the stone to then fly incredibly quickly. When I'm talking quickly, like, slinger stones caused massive damage. It would not be fun to take a sling stone anywhere on your body. Even your chest, you know, what you would think of as, oh, and nobody's going to throw a stone at my chest hard enough to kill me. You'd be surprised. The Romans, who, you know, always were fairly heavily armored, were fond of carrying, having their field surgeons carry a special set of forceps that they used to pull sling stones out of bodies. So these are stones and sometimes lead bullets that are flying incredibly quickly. It might not cause quite the same damage as a full-on, like, javelin through your chest, but it's going to cause some pretty serious damage and definitely can kill. And these skirmishers in this campaign are kind of going to provide the function of being my... Normally they would be my anti-other skirmisher force, but in this I'm going to have to end up using them against the enemy infantry as much as possible. Because they're just so tough. And I'm not going to want to face really the buffs that they've got with the crummy troops that I have. So these guys are coming up. Looks like they're really focused on defending over here, so I might be able to just fight part of their army at any given time here. Let's bring forward my other guys. Cav I'm going to just send around to try and scout out and maybe distract some more units if I can get a few of their spearmen to chase my cavalry as I just, like, you know, run away and lead them away from the main battle. That's more guys that I don't have to fight all at once. So yeah, slings are quite powerful. They take a bit of practice to get used to, but they're not quite as hard as you would assume based on my understanding. The advantage that these guys have over, say, archers is that they've got a shield. I don't think there's any bowmen in this game who get shields. These guys have a shield, and the shield makes a huge difference in protecting yourself from enemy skirmish fire. So these guys, they're lightly armored. They're nowhere near gonna withstand skirmish fire as well as, say, my general's unit, who's wearing, you know, mail and has a big, huge shield and metal helm. They're not gonna be that good, but they're gonna be better than most other skirmishers would be, and they've got the same range as bowmen. So you can stand out, like, at just barely out of range of their javelins, whittle down their bowmen because they don't have shields and you do, and then start outranging their javelin men. So they're quite good against other skirmishers. They're not quite as good against heavy infantry. My levy freemen, they're crummy. They're unarmored. They've got a big shield, yeah, but they don't really know how to use their spears or their shields very well. Apparently they're all incredibly cut, though. Look at that. Jeez, these are some strong dudes. Apparently everybody was built like a tank in the ancient world. But I definitely wouldn't rely on those guys for a prolonged toe-to-toe melee. It looks like they're not really defending this side, so I'm going to bring my skirmishers up and see if I can maybe lure some of them forward.
Scout riders!
I might even run these guys through towards the skirmishers and then out. Let me bring my infantry up to support in case they get a little overzealous and really come at me hard. But I don't see them doing that. They seem pretty content to just sit there. Now, one of the disadvantages of a sling stone is you can't arc it the same way that you can arc an arrow. You can arc an arrow over a building and have it come down with enough force to really do some hurt on the enemy. It looks like they're sending firing slingers at me, so I'm going to return fire on their slingers. Oh, come on, guys. If they can shoot you, you don't need to move to shoot them. Alright, you guys just right out right there. Alright, I'm returning fire. I've taken one loss, but I'm about to start really hammering them with all 3 of my units to just 1 of mine. Yeah, look at those stones. Like, if you've got a helmet on, you'll be decently well protected, but that's still a lot of force that you're being hit with a stone that's flying that fast. Taking a little more losses than they have, but it should even out pretty soon. Or not. Seem pretty content right there. Just sit. Alright, these guys are getting absolutely wrecked on, so you guys back off and maybe they'll try and pull forward and chase you and you'll be able to get some more hits. Luckily I am getting some collateral damage on their sword band. Their sword band are going to be a really hard unit for me to beat. They're not really much more armored than my guys, but they do have short swords, and in this game short swords are the better close-in melee weapon. Personally, I think spears are always going to be a better primary weapon than swords, but you know, the mechanics of this game are kind of rock, paper, scissors. Sword infantry beats spear infantry beats cavalry, cavalry often beats sword infantry. Alright, now it's starting to even out. I think I'm actually firing on 2 units of their slingers, so both of them are badly hurt, whereas only one of mine is really badly hurt. If I can wipe out those 2 slingers and then maybe that slinger as well, I can really get them good. These forces aren't really doing anything. You guys can maybe start pressing a little bit over here, draw more of their forces away from their defensive position over there. Ooh, I'm getting hit over here. I was not noticing that. I should pull these guys out. That was completely stupid of me, getting shot like that for no reason. Luckily for me, they've only got 1 unit of heroic nobles, whereas I have 2. But I still really don't want to really risk a super long toe-to-toe engagement with their sword band. Ooh, and they're showing their backs to me. So in this game, it does a good job of taking into account, like, yes, the shield is an excellent protection from projectiles. It's probably the best protection from projectiles that you'll ever have, barring any armor. Is a good shield. However, if you turn around, your shield isn't between you and the projectile, and so it doesn't do you any good. So if they show their flanks to me, I get a lot of extra kills, which is very good. Alright, so we've wiped out 1 unit. I'm about to wipe out another, and then I can get a 3rd. Alright, so they're coming at me over here. Let's pull away. Don't need any of that heat. Especially those Briton skirmishers. So they're javelin men, and javelin men are the best against infantry of all the skirmishers because, again, a spear is a heavier projectile, and so it's going to transfer more force into you. A javelin is a much heavier projectile than an arrow or a slingstone, and the slingstone and the arrow are definitely going to move a lot faster, but a javelin has a lot of mass into it, and so like when the tip hits you, all of the weight of the rest of the shaft is pushing it further into you as well. So that's why I think it's good that the javelin, in this time period at least, is the better option against enemy infantry. So they're kind of hiding in these trees facing me, but that means that they're not going to be facing my guys. Now I can kind of start shooting at their Briton slingers at will. I've taken some damage, but I mean, it's not unreasonable. I can keep fighting, certainly. Each one of my guys has a decent number of kills. Alright, so they're shooting at me. You guys can back off. I don't need you to take that heat. These guys don't have a shield screen of any kind, but my general does, so if they continue to chase me, I will turn and face into the shield screen, or the shield wall, and that'll help my men's shields to overlap one another and thereby protect them more. And you know, various cultures practice that. Vikings in later periods used shield walls. Greeks used hoplite phalanxes. You know, all sorts of different cultures realize that, hey, if we all work together and cover each other with our shields, we can do a lot of really good stuff. And they've completely left their town center open, so I'm going to press forward with my infantry. If they counterattack me, I'm fine with that. I will shower them with javelins as they come in from my infantry, and then we'll fight.
We have discovered the enemy's hidden unit.
Briton skirmishers, painted ones. No, don't want that. Back off. They really seem to want this army, and I'm going to let them get distracted by it, because that's really all they're doing, is they're letting me take the capture point. Cav, you guys can come forward and maybe catch their slingers in the open now. You guys can go prepare to defend their own capture point from them. Yeah, they're really coming out against me over here. Seems a little foolish on their part. They've got enough Briton slingers to still put a hurting on my Briton slingers, so I'm just going to keep backing off. I don't feel eager to sit here and exchange with them. Not while I can easily take their capture point. So in this, the capture point, the center of the city, gives a morale buff to your men, or whoever is holding it, really. And since that'll be my men, that'll be their morale that is improved. Farmers, that's an excellent target. Just do them, and then I'll send my guys over to box them in. Actually, you should go there. You should go there. And I'll slaughter them 2 to 1. If I were to just charge straight into them, I would probably still win because I outnumber them. But getting the flanking bonus is helpful because first off, it'll allow my guys to throw some javelins in at them as they get closer. Second off, I'll be charging them where their shields aren't. So their shields are facing my slingers, and they're not taking much damage. Notice I've only killed 5 guys with all those volleys. That's because their shields are facing me. I'm getting more men on their sides, though, and those men, the shields won't be facing them. Look at that. Look at those big, bare backs that all the javelins can get thrown in. So my men are going to start throwing javelins soon. There they go. Now I'm getting some hurt put on them. And then I'm going to charge. Now they're going to throw their javelins at my guys, and that's lame. I don't like that. I'm not going to say that like it's worth it. I don't think it really is. But now they're going to get completely surrounded and outnumbered and outmatched. And even though my guys are crummy, they're outnumbered because half of them are gone 4 to 1 at this point and completely surrounded. And I don't know any farmers who are quite that, you know, gung-ho about I'm going to die for my tribe right now. Oop, coming from my general. Really, they want to come out at me. Alright, you guys, get out here. Let's take out their skirmishers. These scout riders are pretty, you know, poor troops. You can stop shooting, actually. You guys, excellent job. Yeah, bunch of kills, only 2 losses on each unit. That is a-okay in my book. Alright, you guys, get up there and start shooting their heroic nobles. You guys, I mean, they seem pretty content to just chase me out of the town. So I'm going to try and use this to my advantage. If I can sandwich their army between my 2 forces, that would be really nice. Alright, you guys are going to go right there, and you guys are going to get it all the way around, and I'm going to try and plow into their slingers. They've still got a lot of them. I do not want to let them get free shots. Oh, get away. So I threw some javelins and backed off because they countered with their guys. I don't want to take that. Here, actually, you lead them into there while they get shots off. You guys keep moving. You guys bring the slingers. I do not want to get shot unnecessarily by them. Heroic nobles, painted ones. Painted ones would be pretty weak to a sword charge. They're completely unarmored. All they've got is their shield, so cab charge. Let's try and snag them, as it were. Alright, you guys just keep pulling away. If I can pick them apart with good cavalry. Oh man, I got nailed by their javelins as I came in, though. That cab unit's gone, but this one's going to get a good charge too. And then I'm going to dip out, and that's probably going to be the end of my cab's usage. Eep! Jeez. Alright, I killed a decent number of them. I don't know if that was worth my cav. But I'm picking away at their army now, and my slingers are getting free shots on their painted ones. That'll be super useful. Let's get another volley from everybody, and then I'll reform. Alright, my cav are pretty hosed, but I can maybe get one more charge into their skirmishers. Now they're coming back around, and I'm going to turn and face them. So you aim at their slingers, you two charge their slingers, heroic noble get positioned to flank their melee units. You guys move forward.
Our general is under attack.
General, get ready to... Everybody just move forward. There we go. Frenzied charge. Get him! So one thing that is a little historically inaccurate about this game is that people horsemen often, they charge with a lot more force than I think is really reasonable to expect from the technology at the time. Stirrups weren't in use yet, and stirrups, in my opinion, did a lot to make it really possible to charge in on cavalry. You couldn't really charge before the invention of stirrups. Alright, so I lost those cab, but they were crummy cab anyway, I don't mind. Alright, headhunt, slaughter these guys, get into their sword band while I flank with my spears. You guys run them down. Oh man, my heroic nobles have been hurt. I didn't notice how badly they got hurt by those skirmishers. But I think I'm winning these fights. I can get in behind them. You, actually all of you, get their Britain skirmishers. Finish them. Alright, you guys get around. You are just going to run up there and try and get their skirmishers. You're just going to get around all of them. Alright, you two press in. You press in.
The battle is turning in our favor.
You can just stand there and throw your javelins for now, actually. Alright, it was a little messy. I lost my cav fairly unnecessarily, but it looks like I'm going to be able to pull this off. I've got their general almost completely surrounded, and come on, throw your javelins, guys. I've got a really nice lane right there, so let me get rid of all this gooey and get you a nice javelin toss. Alright. Boom. Into their backs. Oh, look at that guy. He's got 4 javelins. There we go. Down. Again, their men are all facing mines. Their shields weren't facing towards the javelin volleys. I'm just going to go ahead and end battle. There's no sense in me trying to chase these guys down. I just took the town. They're all gone. They're going to disappear. Yeah, that cavalry unit, at least it went down swinging. This one just got slaughtered by skirmisher fire. My infantry did what they were supposed to do. I was able to micro that. Like, early game, it's fine, but late game when the enemy starts just pouring in units and you can't, and you've got such a large army that you can't really micromanage every little thing, it's just too hard on the harder difficulty settings for me. It doesn't become fun anymore. And, like, it doesn't make sense to me either, where, like, you can charge a levy freeman unit with, like, heroic nobles, and they'll stand up for a good 10 minutes and even kill half your unit before they go down. I'll just go ahead and occupy. Boom. Yeah, bronze caps, good chainmail. That was the mark of a wealthy, powerful warrior, if you could afford that sort of thing. Alright, so I've got a heroic savior. I'd rather have the extra armor for all my units. And I'm gonna go warrior, because zeal will make his bodyguard unit even more tough too. So, I just took my first town, Sleaford, central England. So, what am I going to build here? I've already got an artisan's lodging, and I think I'm going to go ahead and stick with that because that's going to be my military production building. The artisan's lodging allows me to produce swordsman. And that kind of makes sense to me because, to be honest, like, making a sword is more of a serious proposition than, for example, making a spear. That's why, like, you can produce levy freemen just by owning a town. Like, there's somebody in the town who knows how to hammer out a spearhead. But it's more of a in-depth, complicated task, especially in these early days of learning how to ironsmith, compared to, say, the High Middle Ages. It's a pretty serious task to try and make a long, sharp bar of steel. It really is. And, like, they didn't even have truly high-carbon spring steel at this point. It was more like iron with maybe some steel casing on the edges where they were hammer-hardened more intensely. So I'm going to go ahead and make a bronze workshop. It's going to allow me to recruit a slightly better spearman unit. I could go for coinmaker or hornmaker. Both of those are good economic buildings, but right now, early campaign, I know I'm going to need some good units, so I'm going to go ahead and do that. Before I forget, I'm going to turn down the battle difficulty. So, game settings, battle difficulty, normal. Sorry, if you're looking for the best Total War player ever, somebody who's going to be playing on Ultra Legendary and Nightmare Mode and all those things, I'm not your guy. I'm going to be talking more about the history and culture and how ancient societies worked. So I've got here, I just built the Bronze Workshop. I would like to maybe switch the Bronze Workshop into Camerulodunum and the Horse Breeder here just to be a little bit more historically accurate, but you know what, whatever. We'll keep it there for now. I could upgrade this village to a level 2. And again, that takes food. Having a more complex, thriving city center, or village, or town is going to require more people who are not busy farming, which means that there's going to be a little less food. But if I were to, you know, have good farms with high food production values, you don't need so many people. Further complexity, you know, for your society is gained by good food surpluses. So, and like I said, the public order is going down. See that -17? That's because I just took that town and that dispossessed a lot of people of their wealth and land, and that's going to make them upset. So, technology. What am I going to research? Chieftains hold. You know what? I'm going to go for farms really early. I'm going to go straight. So 5, 10, 20. 20 turns so I can get a Linchet, so I can get maximum food production for my farms. And that might not be the most strategic thing, but I think for role-playing sake, that is how you would build up your civilization first, is get a good food surplus. Have the land most effectively used by the peasants so that food prices are cheap, you can then, and then people are able to then migrate to cities and start doing other things. I've got a warlord, which is really useful. What is his trait? Manipulation, coerce. Okay, that's very useful. I'm going to stick him in my main army. He's going to be used to improve my troops' fighting ability, essentially. They're going to start gaining ranks of experience because he's basically drilling them on a regular basis. As far as recruitment goes, I can make a sword band because I just took that place. I'm going to make a couple of them. To stiffen my forces a little bit, and I'm going to make a couple more Britain slingers and one more scout rider. Again, these scout riders are pretty much trash. They die pretty immediately, but they're useful. You can use them to clear away skirmishers. You can use them to troll away enemy units. I'm going to combine up my forces. I'm going to stick all of them in one force. That way all of them are gaining the bonuses of having the warlord. Eventually I'm going to disband all these levy freemen. They're trash units as well, but for now I need the forces. I'm going to look at my diplomacy. So the Dumnonii, they like me. They like me quite a bit. See if they'll trade with me yet. Still no trade. Kind of upsets me. I'm wondering if I'm going to be able to keep them as an ally if they won't even trade with me. The Brigantes don't like me all that much.
We will speak together of whatever you wish.
And
that can warm our hearts.
I don't know if I want to bother with a non-aggression pact, because I do know that I'm going to need to expand anyway. The Demete, again, they like me. I'd like to be able to join Confederation, but that's going to take a long time for me to build up enough money to basically convince them to join my tribe and confederate ourselves and, you know, work together to that level. So for right now, I'm just going to chill. I'm going to go ahead and pass turn and see what happens as far as other people maybe declaring war on me. I don't know what I'm going to build here yet, but I'm going to probably just wait for a second, gain some more money before I decide. Like, my culture is 90% Celtic. I don't really need to worry about culture yet. When I start taking places that their native culture is not the Celts, then I'll have an issue. Oh, what the heck? We're defensively allied. Alright, fine. Bring it. Guess I can't trust anybody in this game. So, yeah, my defensive allies just declared war on me, so I guess I'm going to be attacking Cornwall. Let's do this, guys. I'm going to halt that recruitment on those two, just so that I can move my army. I'm going to get... I don't want to go straight in yet, because I want to replenish for another turn. I've still got some casualties. I'm going to go ahead and go over here. Excuse me. Recruit another sword band, a couple more Britain slingers, and can I get one more? No. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I don't need those Britain slingers. I'd rather have 2 sword bands and a scout rider. And these guys, they're stabilizing. And I've got the food for it right now, might as well. And I'm about to take Iska, so that'll give me more food. So I'll upgrade this town, and then I'll upgrade the Sacred Enclosure next turn.
Ready for orders.
Taxman, heck yes. Loves me a Taxman. He can have a promotion secured, so yeah, let's do that. Because that means that his men will basically work for a little cheaper, because his prestige warrants that. And pass turn again. I think it's going to be fall. Is it fall already? It's going to be winter soon, and so I want to get my campaigning done before the winter if I can. Obviously, if you campaign during the winter, you run the risk of your men potentially starving because they can't find food to forage while they're, you know, moving through territory. Your men losing fingers and toes to frostbite. Your men outright deserting because they feel like going back to their families. But it's only fall right now, so I think I've got the time. Feast. So, seasonal rites were a sacred feature of barbarian life. The Celts, for example, observed 4 major festivals in the year: Imbolc, Beltane, Lugnasag, and Samhain. I've heard of Samhain before. These milestones in the agricultural calendar marked the passage of the seasons, and similar celebrations were observed across many tribal civilizations in one form or another. Such festivals offered thanks for the bounty of the land and the anticipation of the season ahead. Festivities signifying the beginning of the winter were perhaps the most important, marking the dark half of the year. Cattle were brought down from their summer grazing in the high meadows, and the appropriate animals were chosen for slaughter. Fires were lit to guard against the coming darkness. The animals were slaughtered, and an almighty feast would follow. So this is the sort of thing that, you know, would have happened very, very regularly in a society like this that's so tied to the land and that sort of thing. At the end of the harvest, when the food is most plentiful and when you're expecting long, hard, harsh months ahead, that's when you really want to celebrate and get people happy you know, fattened up a little bit perhaps in preparation of that. And so that's when you would be willing to perhaps sacrifice an animal and then eat it. Especially because, like, sacrificing an animal is a pretty huge investment for the average farmer. That's, you know, their livelihood is that animal. And so just eating it is, you know, a very short-term sort of thing, but as a way of showing appreciation for perhaps a good harvest, that would make sense to an ancient person. So, what am I going to build? 2 public order. Wealth from maritime commerce. I'm not really trading with anybody, so that wouldn't make sense. Wealth generated by slaves. I don't intend to do slavery because while many, and then perhaps even most ancient cultures did practice some form of slavery or another, I'm just not really cool with it, and I don't believe that it's absolutely necessary for the formation of civilizations. So I'm just not going to use slaves. That wouldn't help me much. Cavalry morale upon recruitment. That's not terrible, but I could use more wealth. Wealth from all sources, wealth from industry. And entertainment from culture. I'm going to go with that, because that's 2 different kinds of wealth that I'm getting a bonus to. And as I am upgrading a bronze workshop, there is going to be some wealth from industry in this province, so that would help as well. So, I'm not at war with these guys yet, but honestly I'm not expecting them to stay that way for very long. And I think my army is strong enough now, so I'm going to go ahead and move forward. It is going to be winter when I finally attack, but I don't think I'll take any attrition, especially if I'm able to knock this faction out. They don't have a terribly strong garrison, and their army is only 13 units big, and at the most they're only going to be able to recruit another 3 before I attack them again. If I really need to, I might recruit a mercenary, but mercenaries are expensive and not to be trusted historically. Go ahead and pass turn again. My income is not very good, but when I take Iska and start expanding some more, I'll be able to improve my income quite a bit. Persia, Pontus, all these factions that I'll probably never end up seeing. Why? Why you gotta be like that, man? Okay, so Gaul has declared war on me. And that's actually kind of bad, because that implies that Rome is going to be against me as well, because they are currently a client state of Octavian's Rome. They're Celts, but they've been basically forced into, by, you know, having been conquered and lost so much of their land, they've been forced into a state of subservience to the Republic of Rome. They would probably have sent tribute every year and potentially armies as well to help with whatever wars Rome was fighting, and they would have probably gotten the less good end of every trade agreement that they made. But at the same time, they could also expect Rome to protect them, so that was sort of the trade-off that they would have had by being Rome's client state. So, alright, fine. Guess we're at war now. Can start recruiting some more men into this army in Camulodunum. I don't want to recruit too many men, because that would cost me a decent amount of money. But I can recruit 3 sword band, and then now I can recruit spear band as well. So it's 3 sword band, a couple spear band, and then maybe next turn I'll make some slingers, just in case Gaul sends an army across the sea to attack me there. They attack once I take Iska. If they attack there, I'll have my main army there, so I'm not too scared. Ooh, they're not in the town. Do I want to fight them on the field, or do I want to fight them in the town? I'm going to attack the town, because then I can potentially just get between the town and these reinforcements, slaughter the reinforcements, and then attack the town. So, they outnumber me by about 500 men, 400. I still totally think I can do this. They don't have anything that can really match my sword band or my general other than their generals. So, yeah, let's do this. They don't have any bowmen, and I don't believe that there are any bows available to the Brits during the vanilla campaign. I know that on some of the mods that I've used in the past, the Brits have some bows, but they don't have any in the vanilla campaign, I don't believe. So I don't think I'm ever going to be facing any while on my home island. I'll probably start facing bow units when I attack Germans. If I attack the Germans, honestly, it's looking like I'm going to end up fighting more in Gaul than in Germany. Alright, let's do this. Dry. So, I don't know where they're going to be coming from, but I think they're going to probably be coming from in this direction. So I'm just going to go ahead and set up facing where I believe that they were going to come from. Let's put my spear units on the flanks. They don't have any cavalry, but I'd rather have my tougher sword units in the center anyway, just to take the brunt of the enemy fire and melee capability. My skirmishers I'll put in front as well. They can kind of take the enemy skirmish fire, screen for my men. And then the Cav I want to keep an eye on the guys in the town in case they decide to charge out and meet me and sandwich me. Alright, where's... Enemy reinforcements have arrived. There we go. Alright, so they're over there. Let's just group up. Go over here. I really would like to stop them from getting into the town, so I'm going to try and cut off their path towards the town. Now, to be fair, most warfare and battles in the ancient world, and even in the medieval world as well, would not have been like kind of pitched field engagements or like broad-based assaults on towns like this. Most fighting in the ancient and medieval world would have been sieges. Would have been one force saying, haha, I'm in the castle, you can't get me, and the other force saying, well, fine, you're not going to leave, and we're going to try and starve you out. Mostly because a pitched engagement is very dangerous. Lots of your men could die, and there's no need to do it if you don't have to. If you've got the defensive ground, why would you go out onto a field and potentially get overrun by a larger force? If they've got the defensive ground, why would you sacrifice your men and and again, like, not just men, but the resources of the war that you've gathered up to that point by throwing them against the enemy walls? For the purposes of this campaign and the fact that, you know, you don't want to take forever to do everything, I am going to be assaulting towns a decent amount, and I am going to be fighting armies on the field a decent amount, but just understand that, like, you know, humans make logical decisions, and so it would make sense that most of the time when humans fight each other, they don't do so in, you know, a toe-to-toe slugfest. My guys are gonna be a little tired, but not much. They're still, a lot of them are still fresh. You can actually just turn and start shooting. They're certainly gonna do that. All right, come on, get into position.
Ancestors hear us. The oaks are our strength. Deadly missiles ready.
Gotta start boxing him in.
For the mother. And its women. Get running.
Alright, now I'm starting to do some damage to their skirmisher units. It looks like they might even be able to sneak past me on this, but I'm going to do my best to box them in. You guys are just going to start rushing forward. General, get up there. Yeah, these three skirmisher units are doing a good job of beating down their skirmishers. You guys can just get into position and start throwing your javelins. Yeah, now they're starting to get diverted and pay attention to me. Alright, you're in position, start throwing. Or not, that's cool too. Alright, looks like they're gonna give me the flank. Countercharge them. Alright, Cav, I guess I can try and start sneaking over here. Get into their flank. You get around. Oh, you fight them. You get around. You continue getting around. Whoa! General's getting hosed. Let's do the fear and intimidate, try and break some of their units and then get out of there. Oh man, I'm getting wrecked by skirmisher fire. Come on, take them out.
The men are wavering.
Get him in the flank. My scout riders are gonna get around. Jeez, they're still hosing me. Alright, take them out. You take them out too. Ah, well that would be because they're heroic nobles. Okay, that makes sense.
Levy free men.
You just keep running away while they get wrecked.
Our men flee the field
So
of
my
battle.
line is
This
breaking.
is a shameful display.
You send them in the back, you finish them off. Come on! Your melee units and they're not. Get through them. Alright, I'm gonna get the outflanking. Charge them. You can charge them. Bam. That momentum. But yeah, without a stirrup, if you were to hit like that and charge in so heavily, it'd be very, very easy for you to just fly right off your horse because you don't have anything to lock in. Yes, there were such things as various types of saddle that were designed in order to help keep you in, you know, seated firmly on the horse. But there's only so much that that can do. You gotta understand that there's a crap load of power and force being transferred when you do something like that.
Our men flee the field of battle.
You guys get around. I really need to start supporting that fight a little better. You guys charge in. You guys get them. As you charge, I might get intercepted a little bit, but
Our men
I
flee
still
the
got
field of battle.
pretty viciously in there. Alright, horsemen, you try and get out. They're probably all gonna die. Oh, come on, why are you guys wavering? Probably just because so many of my units have wavered. Man, I kind of messed this battle up. I'm surprised by how well the enemy did, especially since I turned the battle difficulty down. Would have thought that my swordsmen would do a little bit better than they did. But I mean, I still can pull this off. I've got a crap load of skirmishers, and likely I'll be able to just use all my skirmisher ammo. In fact, you guys can stop firing.
The oaks are our strength.
Man, their heroic nobles have really plowed through a few of my units. Alright, you guys, get back over here. Alright, looks like I've wiped them out over here. I'm gonna try and just skirmish down their general. Hopefully these guys will return to the fight, because then I can use them to hold them in position a little bit more. Alright, these guys, just blob in there, kill them. Alright, got a lot of good javelin tosses in there. Some vicious melee fighting. Can't look at this too long because I know that their general is probably in the process of chasing down and slaughtering some of my guys.
The enemy general is
Oh, except that he's dead. Excellent. You guys can stop firing your ammo. You guys, my two only strong units left. Wow, I really don't have any melee left. But they don't have very much either, and I can use my skirmishers to win this.
one of our units has used all its ammunition.
He already used his abilities. That was kind of a waste, but oh well. I can demoralize him. Wait. Oh, that wasn't a general ability. That's just the unit's ability. I'm not going to fire with those guys. I've got enough of my men in there that it would be bad. Just flank around and finish them off with the scouts. Oh man, those javelins before they get in. Boom. But yeah, see what happened right there with this guy. He ran in, he hit a guy, and then he jabbed him with his spear. And he doesn't have one of those like horned saddles that holds your body. So all that force of him pushing in the spear into the other person would easily have pushed him backwards off of the horse. And that's why most cavalry in this time period was fairly light. Yes, you know, prior to this, there were Alexander's companions. Yes, there were cataphracts. And I'll talk a little bit more about them in probably future videos. But the vast majority of cavalry in this time period was skirmishing and scouting. That was really their primary function, not hardcore shock as they, you know, went into an enemy. Let's go in this gate. Maybe I can just get them to bottleneck up against me, and then I can use my slingers to take turns flinging death down the alley. Really hose down my melee units, but they got kind of caught in a bunch of like disparate, brutal, messy fighting. I was desperately trying to cut them off from getting into the town, and it kind of got bungled. Actually, you can... Oh, those are my guys. Never mind, I was going to say chase them down and slaughter them, but they're mine. Don't want to do that. Go in, look at my heroic nobles, covered in blood, exhausted, but cheering nonetheless. I really do like Celtic swords from this period. Let me see if I can find a different guy, a guy that'll allow me, better perspective on some of the swords. Yeah, a lot of the swords in this period were not terribly long. They were really, a lot of the time they were, for Celts at least, they were cutting swords, and they were really beautifully made. A lot of the time they had leaf-shaped blades. A lot of these ones look almost pointier than I would have expected, but maybe they're going off of a different design from what I've seen in the past. They'd be leaf-shaped blades. They'd be very much designed for cutting and have a lot of weight near the tip of the blade to add momentum to the cuts that they would deliver. And take my two least damaged slingers and move forward and start skirmishing with their slinger forces. We've got 1, 2, 3 slingers left. If I can just really hammer them with the slingers and then maybe get a couple nice cav charges into their flanks, I'll send my one healthy unit of cav around this way. So he's gonna go boop, boop, boop. Looks like they might let me just barely edge in and start shooting them. I don't want to get into range of their slingers if I can avoid it. So if I can spend all my ammo on their infantry, I can just charge in and kill their slingers with my cav. I would rather do that than to use my slinger ammo against them. I've got an okay amount left, but not as much as I would like, and a lot of my slingers have taken casualties. Alright, so you're in range. Start taking out their farmers. They're backing off. If they leave that one unit there, though, I'll be able to get a lot of good, clean shots on them. I would really like that. Take you off skirmish mode. If they start coming at me, I'll give them an intentional order to back off. I'm not going to do as much damage as I possibly could because their shields are facing me, but it's not going to be too bad. I'm a big fan of these style shields, you know, relatively large, oval-shaped shields with a center grip. I used to be of the opinion that strapped-on shields were better than center grip shields because of the extra stability they offer, but I've, you know, done a little bit of medieval style combat, LARP combat, that sort of thing, and honestly I really like center grip shields, especially large oval-shaped ones. I think they do a great job of protecting your body. You can hold them far out from you and therefore create kind of a shadow that your body is behind and you're very easily protected from. So I'm a big fan of those. Looks like they're kind of cycling units out, so that's fine. I'll get rotating casualties in on each unit. I'd like to be able to just focus on one, but I'm not so eager as to rush in like that unnecessarily. You guys can hurry up. I'll run out of ammo before you get there if you don't. Yeah, my slingers have actually done a decent number on the enemy. A lot of casualties between these two big units. The other ones not so much, but these two have done quite well. I'm fine with this. It's 20 men in each of those units that is not there to fight me anymore. I'd really like to get some shots on those painted ones because they're going to be vicious. They're lightly armored, but they're quite strong in melee, and they've got the frenzy ability, which will make them even stronger. That's 40 men off of that unit. Soon I'll run out of ammo on these ones, then I'll pull the other 3 up and they can get some shots off too. I think I can force a win out of this. If I can use all of my slinger ammo and get a good charge on their slingers, I can pull this off. Reshuffling a little bit. Those guys are a small unit. They must have come off of one of these ships. I'm wondering if these are historically accurate ships, because they look like Viking longships to me. And I don't know how accurate that is to what the Celts would have been sailing. My understanding is that a lot of Celtic ships were made of a wooden frame with some sort of animal hide stretched over it. But correct me if I'm wrong. And, you know, therefore wouldn't have been so big. I don't know. Alright, almost over 300 kills between these two. Alright, so you're done. You can back off. I might end up having to use them in melee. I'd really rather not, but, you know, this is going to be one of those close battles early game. Alright, next few units. Pull up. Yeah, they just seem to be content to cycle their infantry in to get hammered. I am more than happy to deliver them. I mean, I'm probably going to have to, but I really don't want to get my general into any more combat because he's, you know, his unit is so badly hurt that it might die. He might die. Alright, so you guys put some punishment on those farmers. God, can you just imagine getting hit by a stone like that without a shirt on? Just... Man, that would suck. Their shields are in front of them, and that's helping, but you can't cover your whole body with it. You can just imagine, like, even if you've got your shield covering your, like, your torso and your head and your arms, like, if one of those sling stones, like, plowed into your kneecap, that would just absolutely wreck me. I would just crumple. Down to 70. Take out these farmers, or levy freemen, yeah. Yeah, their infantry is gonna at least be as hosed as mine by the time we end up coming to blows. We'll go ahead and speed up. I'm sure this isn't too exciting for you guys watching just slinger stones plowing into guys repeatedly. Just dropping them down. Go into cinematic mode. Really, nope, we don't like that. Oh, they're shooting at me. You guys need to back off. I do not want to take those sling stones if I can avoid it. I lost 2. Alright, good. Hopefully they won't continue chasing me. Oh, they might. No, back off, please. Alright, turn around and start shooting those melee units. Where's my cav? Alright, my cav's almost in position. I'm going to stop them now. I don't want to get too eager and have them turn around and start hosing me with their missile weapons. What I want to do is spend all my ammo, kill as many of these guys as possible, push my infantry up, take a few shots, and then once they've committed their forces, sweep in and wipe out their slingers with my cav.
Slingers!
Just ow. Stones in the back. Switch targets. More open one. Hear the stones smacking off of shields. Yeah, this is gonna take a while. Let's speed up time. These units are all going to be pretty gone soon. I've still got a lot of ammo on those 37 slingers, so can still put some more hurting on them. Definitely do that. Alright, they're painted ones. That's the target I really want. More damage I can do to them, the easier this fight's going to be. They don't have very much armor.
One of our units has used all its ammunition.
So yeah, Celts in Britain were well known for using woad, which is a blue dye, in order to kind of... Ooh, ow, ow, ow. Stop, stop, stop. Leave me alone. In order to dye their bodies before battle. And it was a sort of mystical protection that was designed to really what it was to help make men feel more invincible in battle. But it's actually been proven that the woad was actually somewhat antiseptic. So there is something perhaps to be said for covering yourself in an antiseptic substance when you're about to go into battle and potentially get sliced up pretty bad. Alright, they really don't have much with which to scare my cavalry. Their painted ones are at about half strength, so this might go my way. Alright, you guys back off. Infantry forces. And those 2 healthier slingers. We're gonna press forward now. You guys are gonna come down. Well, not yet. I'll wait till I start seeing some stones get slung at my guys. I know that my infantry have their attention. Then I will charge in. You guys aren't out of ammo yet. You can go expend it on their slingers. Why not? Alright. Time has come for the cav charge. Oh, come on! To sling stones? Dang it. Oh well, I guess I should have expected it. There go the cav. Clattering into their men. They're not going to be able to get any more shots off on me. Yeah, that general dying is probably what's going to cost me this battle, actually. Despite being so careful at the end there.
Our men flee the field of battle. This is a
Cav have a ton of kills. Well, I'm going to get the best out of my general's bodyguard unit that I can.
Scout riders.
Pull the scout riders out. And then try and get one more brutal charge in. Hopefully they won't break.
As you say.
Come on.
Understood.
melee warriors.
Slingers. Slingers. Deadly missiles ready.
I'm just going to bring the other cav unit up even though it's wrecked. Alright, this is just going to be a slugfest at this point. I really hope I win. It'd be really a shame if I didn't lose my general and
Our men flee the field
cost
of
me all
battle.
my troops. Come on.
This is a shameful display.
Finish them.
Our men flee the field
Come
of
on.
battle.
Yes. Oh. Yes, that was costly. I mean, I only lost half as many men as them, but they just... Ugh. They took every one they could get. And really, one of my sword units didn't get a single kill, but got slaughtered. That's pathetic. A couple of my sword units did quite well. My slingers all did pretty well. They all got over 100 kills. They definitely pulled their weight. My general's bodyguard unit pulled weight too, but got killed by a slingstone. Just like Goliath. Anyway, that's probably going to be good for this bout of play. Hopefully you guys enjoy the new premise. You know, Civilization 101. Getting started, trying to expand, take some more farmlands that I can have food surplus. Then I can start building manufactured goods and trade goods and hopefully really get this civilization kicking. Once again, this is Kyryu playing Rome Total War. Hope you guys have a great time. Let's watch this final noble death sequence. He's being mourned. Faction leader gone to an early grave because of a stinking slingstone. He died gloriously, though, in battle, as he would have wanted. Wow, I only really lost one unit. All of the rest of those guys are going to be able to replenish. That's really helpful. And a few of their men escaped, which is a bummer because that means that their guys are going to come back. I guess all I can afford right now is the chariot unit and other chiefs. But that's okay. I can recruit an elder chief next turn in perhaps a different unit. Heroic nobles are really, really useful, but chariots can be quite useful too. I guess I'll stick with that for right now. I've taken Iska. What do they have? Farms and a port. Heck yes. Alright guys, well, it's been great playing this. Hope you enjoy it. I'll try and get as much to you as possible as soon as possible, but I am a teacher and it's not summer yet, so there probably is going to be some gaps between uploads, but hopefully it'll be worth it. Signing off for now.